aka Patters, we have a treat. This is a movie, pun intended, coming up here. Ready? This is a movie commonly thrown under the bus. I'm talking 1977's The Car. Now, this is very similar to our environmental dread movies. We did Frogs, we did Bog. This is a part of a run, okay, starting in the early 70s, ending in the late 70s, of vehicular automobiles, particularly cars killing madness cars. This movie pretty much, you can say, ends that trend. And believe it or not, that trend was created, was started, was popularized by Duel, directed by Steven Spielberg. We're at the end of that arc, and we're talking the card. Let's get through that intro. Alright, everyone, before we get into something spooky, let me tell you something. Trial by Fire. It's my comic book available right now on Indiegogo. Link in the description. And I will see you on the printed page. Yeah, so much running through my head on that intro. But hey, everyone, happy Monday. We are approaching the final of the final for the 31 Days of Dread. Final run here. And this is funny because reading up and doing a little bit of research into this movie before I sit down and speak to all of you, I kind of realized that this movie easily could have been paired with Maximum Overdrive, but Maximum Overdrive in trucks, last week essentially, or 2 weeks ago, was it was like this exploration of the same source material. Something I'm always fascinated with. I love seeing iterations and interpretations of a single short story or idea or play or comic book or whatever. The Car, it's been on my radar. It's been on my list for a very, very long time. I would say maybe over 15, maybe 16 years. Way back when I worked at a comic shop, we sold the car replicas, and it was it was part of a series. We got the car, we got Knight Rider, Back to the Future, but the car was featured. It was like cinema vehicles or whatever. And this guy that managed or like co-managed the shop with me, because I was really put in charge over him when it came to the shop, which drove him crazy. I'm not going to mention his name because I don't like this guy. But he said The Car was a good movie. He goes, he's like, that's a really good movie. And I just put that in my mental Rolodex later to access. The movie's available on Netflix. And the plot, here we go. You're right. Like, everybody wants like an elevator pitch. They think a screenplay or something. An elevator pitch is the stupidest way to go about presenting a idea, especially something abstract, right? Like, you can't make an elevator pitch for something abstract. Here's the elevator pitch for The Car. It's the car. It's evil, and it's killing people. There you go. There is no origin to the car. There is no definition. Even within the movie, there's like a loose theory that the car is from that's possessed off of a burial ground, very similar to Poltergeist. Okay, another Spielberg reference there. But we don't know. And the cars, sometimes it's mystical, sometimes it's practical, sometimes it's smart, sometimes it's dumb. It doesn't matter. This car's out to get you. And that's the point. The point isn't explaining the car. Again, if we go back to Night of the Living Dead, even if we go back to Maximum Overdrive, it could be a comet. It could be the Venus comet in Night of the Living Dead. It doesn't matter. What we have is like a threat, and we have something in front of us. We have something trying to kill us, and we have to figure it out, or figure out how to stop it and prevent it. There you go. So I think a lot of the initial criticism for the car came from that. It came from that idea that, we need like 3 acts. We need everything explained. We need it laid out in front of us so we can follow it. Again, audience expectations. I, when I sat down to watch this movie, like I wasn't thinking they were going to tell me the origin of the car. Like, why would they, and how could they? It makes no sense. I mean, it would never make any sense. You kind of have to buy into the concept, period. Now, I will say this because I don't remember that replica I mentioned earlier. Maybe a little disappointed that the car isn't unique looking. I don't know. I'm not too crazy about how this car looked in the movie. I thought it could have had a little bit more razzle dazzle. But other than that, this movie is made with complete intent. It's made with the idea that this is a real movie. There's legit melodrama and strife and angst within the cast. Everyone in this movie overacts, and it works perfectly. The way this movie is shot, we know that they're in a desolate desert town. Again, something very, very common with these movies. Even the movie Cars it's like desert. It's yellow, it's orange, it's brown, it's sprawling. This movie, the ending for this movie, perfect. Let's not forget the ending for Maximum Overdrive, perfect. The ending for Trucks, perfect. Okay, which I really didn't gloss over. I think I should have during that review. This movie has a fun, awesome ending. It has this idea that the threat is over, but we know that the threat is not over. I think up until modern day, there was actually an update, like a sequel made, which is amazing. That's also on Netflix. I want to rush and watch that movie and just tack it on to like 32 Days of Dread and just keep going. But this movie, it's so easy to rip apart this movie because we want to say the acting's not there. We want to say that the plot's not there. We want to say that the explanations aren't there. This is a real example because I talk about this a lot, and this is something I'm passionate about, and this is something that I feel a little bit is the mission of the podcast. These movies are made with a level of intent that was overlooked by the initial runs of reviews. Even now, like, I had a very similar discussion with like Armageddon, which is like, I was labeled hyperbolic about some of my movies this past weekend, and that could be true, but at the same time, it's coming from a place. And if it wasn't coming from a place, and if there wasn't consistency in the baseline, my argument would blow away, and I wouldn't be able to maintain it for this long. I mean, we're 300 plus episodes in, but the car is the template for how to deal with this type of slasher movie, because essentially that's what this is. This is still a slasher movie, and it's unconventional, and that's what makes it perfect. That's what makes it fun. I literally love how this movie is directed. Some of the shots, some of the setup, some of the blocking is there. And there's this backstory with one of the cops and this girl. She gets beaten. She always goes to the police. Like, he gets killed. There's another police officer. His family gets killed, and you feel the loss. You really do. The desperation to figure things out. Okay, to really figure out what's happening is one of the best ideas when it comes to a ghost story. Like, this is something that we saw in like Sinister. Is you involve the police, you involve other people. How do you explain what happens? How do you explain what you see? Really nice trope. Now, the Indian burial ground is an 80s trope. I mean, this was even very prevalent in Stephen King fiction. Okay, Stephen King always still goes to Indian burial grounds, Indian sources for his mysticism. Now, this movie leads into what I feel like is the absolute best made car murder movie, which is a movie called Christine, directed by John Carpenter. That movie literally, it's a masterpiece. It fires on all cylinders. There's not a frame, a scene, a piece of dialogue to ever be removed from that movie. People want to say, when it comes to Carpenter, it starts at Halloween. It really doesn't. It starts at Christine because he's at his filmmaking absolute height in that movie. We're going to go through his entire filmography because there's another horror movie, one of his more like, 90s modern day ones, we'll kind of call it, called Vampires. People rip him apart for vampires all the time. I may watch a little bit of that or all of it if I can to mold a little bit more of his career in your mind and give you like a little bit more of a perspective on that movie as well, because I do think like Christine is so good, it's hard to just talk about it because but we want to give perspective to the people that made Christine, if that makes any sense. But this movie, it's a guaranteed definite watch. It's too much fun. The melodrama is perfect. It's over the top. I dig it. I don't know. Definitely, I'm looking forward to watching the sequel on Netflix. So everyone, thank you for joining me for the 31 Days of Dread. Day 26 will be Christine, and then we're going to go into 2 bucket list movies, Night of the Demons, Ice Cream Man, and then we're going to go into the 2 icons, Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. And holy crap, I feel like there's always a weight off of my shoulders when I complete a movie like this because it's been in my head for too long. It's out of my head now. I can move on. When I sit back down to watch this movie, I can listen to this and remind myself of some of these things I liked when I initially saw the movie. But everyone, thanks for hanging out with me. 31 Days of Dread. Support me any way you can. Always comment on any feed that you find me on. Comments, criticisms. I try and check everything. I will get back to you. Whatever. I will find the comments and and leave a comment. But anyway, thanks for everything. Thanks for your support. Until next time, rock and roll. Quick announcement. So this episode is dedicated to my father, R.I.P. Tony DeLuca, Tony Iron Feet. We love you and we miss you every single day.